Okay, let's have a look at the index laws. The first index law, when terms with the same base are multiplied, the indices are added. When the terms with this is the second index law, when the terms with the same base are divided, the indices are subtracted. So just a simple example of that would be that if you had x to the power of 3 times x to the power of 4, that would equal x to the power of 7. You would add the indices, 3 plus 4. If you had x to the power of 10 divided by x to the power of 6, the answer would be x to the power of 4. You would subtract the indices. Okay? So when you're multiplying, add the indices. When you're dividing, subtract the indices. Let's have a look at some examples here. We'll start with the first one. So we've got m to the power of 4, n to the power of 3, p. Now I'm going to put a power to the 1 on that because p by itself actually has a power of 1. So I'm going to put that there before we start. Multiplied by m squared, n to the power of 5, p to the power of 3. So we've got m's, n's, and p's, and we're going to take them separately. So, and remember that we're multiplying there. So when we're multiplying, we add the indices. So if I look at the m's first up, I've got m to the power of 4 times n to the power of 2. That will be m to the power of 6. N's, I've got n to the power of 3 times n to the power of 5, which is n to the power of 8. And p to the power of 1 times p to the power of 3 is p to the power of 4. So I've got m to the power of 6, n to the power of 8, p to the power of 4. That would be the answer to question A there. Question B. This time we've got numbers involved. So 2a squared b cubed times 3ab to the power of 4. Now, once again, if it helps, we can put a little power of the 1 there. The a by itself is a to the power of 1. Now, the thing to realise with this question is that we've got numbers involved. We've got 2 times 3, okay? And numbers behave like numbers in these questions. So we don't add them, which is a common mistake people make. We actually multiply 2 by 3, so we get 6. Then we use our index laws to get the a and b terms. So a squared times a to the power of 1, 2 plus 1 is 3. B to the power of 3 times b to the power of 4 is b to the power of 7. So the answer would be 6a cubed b to the power of 7. Third example here is question C, which is 2x to the power of 5 over y to the power of 4 divided by 10x squared y cubed. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to cancel the numbers, okay, because when we've got numbers like a 2 on the top and 10 down the bottom, we can cancel out numbers here. We look for the highest common factor, the highest number that goes into both 2 and 10, and that's 2 itself. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So I've cancelled the numbers. So now I've actually got on top, I've got a 1 on the top and a 5 on the bottom. We'll come back to those in a minute. Okay, now with the x's, I've got x to the power of 5 divided by x to the power of 2. When we divide with indices, we subtract, so we've got x to the power of 3. Notice how I'm putting that on top of the fraction line. We put the result where the highest power is. The highest power is 5, so when I do 5 minus 2, my answer goes up the top where the highest power is. And then I've got y to the power of 4 divided by y to the power of 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. Now, we don't have to put y to the power of 1. We can just leave it as y. Now, for the final answer, I don't have to put 1x cubed y. Okay, I can just put x cubed y. Don't have to put the 1 in. You don't have to put the power of 1 in there either, but we do have to put the 5 in down the bottom. So it's x cubed y divided by 5. Next question, the multiple choice question. So one of these will be the answer to 8m cubed n to the power of 4 times 2m squared n cubed. All right. So the numbers here, we've got 8 times 2. Remember, numbers behave like numbers, like we always have done them. 8 times 2 equals 16. We've got m to the power of 3 times m squared. When we multiply with indices, we add. 3 plus 2 is 5. N to the power of 4 times n to the power of 3. 4 plus 3 is 7. So the answer is 16m to the power of 5, n to the power of 7. So that would mean that answer B would be the correct answer there. More difficult question now. There's a few ways of doing this, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually simplify the top line and the bottom line, and then I'm going to divide. So I'm going to multiply first, okay, and then divide at the end. So if you look at the top here, I've got 12 times 2, so that gives me 24. I've got x to the power of 8 times x to the power of 7. Notice how I'm taking the numbers and the letters, the pronumerals, I should say, separately. All right? So 24. Now x, let's do that again. Because we're multiplying here on top, we add the indices. 8 plus 7 is 15. Over, on the bottom we've got 6. And we've got x to the power of 9 plus 5 is 14. So 24x to the power of 15 over 6x to the power of 14. I can now cancel here because I've got 6 and I've got 24. 6 goes into 6 once. 6 goes into 24 4 times. So I've got a 4 on the top and a 1 on the bottom. Okay, let's put that down for the moment. Now, because I'm dividing here, I subtract the indices. So it's 15 minus 14 is x to the power of 1. And I put that x to the power of 1 where the highest power was, which was on the top of the fraction. So I've now got 4x to the power of 1 over 1. Now 4 over 1 is just 4. And x to the power of 1 is just x. So my answer there would be 4x, which would be option C. All right. Next index law we're looking at here is the third index law, and that says that any term excluding 0 with an index of 0 is equal to 1. So anything to the power of 0 is 1. So if I've got x to the power of 0, it equals 1. If I've got 10 to the power of 0, that equals 1. If I've got 5x and I've got brackets around it to the power of 0, that also equals 1. Be careful though. If I've got 5x to the power of 0 and that 5x isn't bracketed, it actually becomes 5 times 1. It becomes 5 times x to the power of, in fact, I'll set that out. It becomes 5 times x to the power of 0, which is 1, equals 5. So notice the difference in the answers here. Because that's bracketed, it means it's everything in the brackets to the power of 0, which equals 1. But if it's 5 times x to the power of 0, that will equal 5. Let's look at some problems. And this very thing here, which I just mentioned, comes up in the first one. So you've got 2b cubed to the power of 0. That equals 1. It doesn't matter what's in that bracket. It could be a whole heap of things. If it's in brackets and it's to the power of 0, the answer is 1. Now, with the next one, okay, and I might just write this question out. Okay, and I'll just change pen color for a second to red. All right, now this part here, okay, a squared b cubed, b to the power of 5 to the power of 0. Anything in the bracket of 0, anything in the bracket to the power of 0 is 1. So what I've got that red square around is 1. But that minus 4 is not in that red square. It's separate. So next step, I've got minus 4 times 1 equals minus 4. Okay, so there's a bit of an introduction to the first 3 index laws. Hope that gives you a good head start.